So let's dive into the two basic forces that really shape every single thing we buy and sell. We're talking about what's actually available on the shelves and, on the flip side, what we can actually afford. This is kind of like the hidden blueprint of the entire market. I mean, you've probably seen this, right? It feels random, but it's not. It all boils down to this constant dance between what sellers are offering and what buyers are willing to grab. And that simple question about strawberries, well, it actually gets to the very heart of how all of this works. To really get it, we need to look at both sides of the transaction. Okay, first up, let's try and get inside the seller's head. The farmer, the baker, the person running the factory. What is it that makes them decide, yep, I'm going to sell this? The big idea here is supply. But listen, there are two magic words you absolutely have to remember: willing and able. See, a company can't just want to sell you something, they have to actually be able to make it and get it to you. Both of those things have to be true for supply to even exist. So, to make all this a little less fuzzy, economists use this really neat tool called a supply schedule. Honestly, just think of it like a cheat sheet. It's a simple chart that shows you exactly how much of something a business is going to sell at all these different price points. Let's make this real with a bakery. Look at this. If they can only sell a croissant for $1, it's barely worth their time. They'll make maybe 20. But what if people are willing to pay $4? Well, suddenly, it makes a whole lot of sense to fire up those ovens and crank out 150 of them. This simple connection, price and how much you're willing to make, that's everything for a producer. And this predictable behavior, it isn't just a coincidence. It's actually a fundamental rule in economics. It's so important it gets its own name. And there it is, plain and simple, the law of supply. And it just makes sense, right? Producers are trying to make a profit, so when prices are higher, the chance to make more money is higher, and that's a huge incentive to produce and sell more stuff. So the main thing to remember is this: when the price goes up, the quantity for sale goes up with it. It's a direct relationship. But you know how it is. Is it always that simple? Of course not. Like pretty much any rule, the law of supply has some really interesting exceptions. Sometimes the real world just throws a curveball, and suddenly price isn't the only thing that matters. I mean, just think about this for a second. The price for wheat could be through the roof, right? Every farmer would be willing to sell. But if a hailstorm just destroyed the entire crop, well, they just aren't able to. It doesn't matter what the price is. Reality just stepped in and changed the game. And this highlights two huge exceptions. For stuff like crops, the weather can totally overpower whatever the price is telling you. And then you've got perishable goods. Think back to our strawberries. A farmer might have to sell them off cheap and fast before they go bad, even if prices are dropping. They just got to get them off the truck. All right, so that's the seller's side of the coin. We've got that down. Now, let's flip it over and look at things from our perspective, the buyer. Because for us, there's another force that's just as powerful as price, and that's, well, our income. And this isn't a new idea, by the way. Way back in the 19th century, this German statistician Ernst Engel was totally obsessed with this question. He came up with a genius way to visualize that direct link between how much we earn and what we actually put in our shopping carts. He called it the Engel curve. And its whole job, its only purpose, is to show you how a change in your income changes how much of one specific thing you're going to buy. It's basically a snapshot of your financial reality. It shows how a pay raise, or, a pay cut, is going to change your behavior instantly. And don't worry, reading one of these things is super easy. You just find your income on the side, you go across until you hit the curve, and then you drop straight down. Boom. That number on the bottom tells you exactly how much of that item you're likely to buy. It's a pretty cool way to see how we all make choices. Okay, so now we have our two main players on the field. We've got the seller, who's totally driven by price, and we've got the buyer, who is limited by their income. Let's put them face to face. And this right here is the fundamental tension in pretty much every market on Earth. You've got sellers who are always pulling for higher prices. That's what gets them excited. And then you have buyers who are stuck with the reality of what's in their bank account. It's this constant tug of war behind every single sale. So this brings us to the big flashing question mark, doesn't it? If you have these two powerful forces pulling in completely opposite directions, how does a market land on that one magic number, that sweet spot where a buyer and a seller can actually agree to make a deal? Finding that price, well, that's the next piece of the puzzle.